Two, three, four. This is Mulberry Christian Church with our weekly religious news report for May 9th, 2021, brought to you by Mulberry Christian Radio. This is your host, Abel Santos. Dozen arrested in night of chaos and clashes in Jerusalem. The Israeli police said 44 people were arrested and 20 officers were wounded in a night of chaos in Jerusalem, where security forces separately clashed with Palestinians angry about Ramadan restrictions and Jewish extremists who held an anti-Arab march nearby. Southern Israel pounded by dozens of rockets in overnight strikes from Gaza. Palestinian terrorists fired at least 30 rockets from Gaza to Israel communities overnight Friday, in one of the worst rounds of cross-border violence in months, setting off sirens across the south and sending residents scrambling for bomb shelters. And Russia increasingly banning Christian education. Russia has stripped several Christian institutions of their right to offer higher education, several sources have confirmed. And Montana Governor Craig Janford signs 3 pro-life bills to save babies from abortion. The governor of Montana signed 3 different pieces of pro-life legislation into law Monday, prohibiting abortion of unborn babies capable of feeling pain, requiring ultrasound before abortions, and adding requirements for providing abortion drugs to mothers. And the federal court upholds Tennessee pro-life law to help women and save babies from abortion. Tennessee won a victory for life Friday when the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the pro-life waiting period law. And John Kerry told Iranians about secret Israeli operations in Syria, a report. Former Secretary John Kerry kept Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif informed about secret Israeli military actions in Syria, the Iranian diplomat said in a recently leaked audio, casting new light on communications between the two men after Mr. Kerry returned to life as a private citizen in 2017. And Netanyahu said willing to let Saha be prime minister first in latest rotation deal proposal. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, running out of time to form a coalition, is reportedly willing to offer former ally Gideon Saha a rotation deal with the current New Hope leader to serve first as Prime Minister, Hebrew media reported on Monday. And Israel shuts down Gaza fisheries following 3 straight nights of rockets from the Strip. After 3 consecutive rockets firing from Gaza into southern Israel and 5 rockets overnight, Israel shut down the Gaza fishing zone Monday, the Times of Israel reported. Israeli journalists have noted that airstrikes are normally conducted in retaliation for Gaza rockets, and that the closure of fisheries appears to be Israel's only response in this round of ongoing conflict. And Tennessee's 48-hour abortion period law reinstated by the appeals court. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the 6th Circuit has allowed a Tennessee law requiring women seeking an abortion to wait 48 hours before they can undergo the procedure to take effect until a ruling on the law's constitutionality is reached. And the Supreme Court declines religious liberty dispute between California and Texas. The Supreme Court declined a case challenging California's ban on state-funded travel to Texas and other states that allow Christian adoption and foster care agencies to refuse service to gay and transgender couples on Monday. And an appeals court allows abortion waiting period. The Supreme Court of the United States does not have to intervene. In a ruling, which means the U.S. Supreme Court does not have to immediately get involved, a federal appeals court temporarily reinstated Tennessee's 48-hour waiting period for abortions, the Washington Free Beacon reports. The appeals court decision overturned a 2020 trial court decision which determined the waiting period instituted in 2017 to be unconstitutional. There are 6 sexes, lawmaker tells public education hearing. During a hearing before the U.S. Public Education Committee last week, Texas Democrat Representative James Talarico asserted that there are 6 sexes, not 2, the Washington Times reports. The Harvard-educated lawmaker made his assertion during a hearing on House Bill 4042, a measure that will prevent transgender pupils from competing in girls' K-12 school sports. And New Mexico finally agrees to obey Supreme Court, drops COVID restrictions on indoor worship. New Mexico on Friday eliminated coronavirus-related capacity restrictions on religious services. And Christian missionaries die of COVID in India. Christian missionaries and church leaders already suffering persecution in several areas are among those dying of severe symptoms of COVID-19 raging in India, aid workers say. And Kerry denies telling Iranians about covert Israeli operations. State Department says it was public knowledge. Facing calls for his resignation, President Biden's climate envoy John Kerry on Monday denied his unequivocally false claims that he had informed Iran's foreign minister about covert Israeli military strikes against Iranian facilities in Syria. And IDF shoots down Hezbollah drone on the Lebanon border. Israeli forces shot down a drone belonging to the Lebanese Hezbollah terrorist group that crossed into northern Israel from Lebanon on Tuesday, the IDF said. And Byzantine-era mosaic pavement uncovered in central Israel. Architects in Israel recently unearthed a 1,600-year-old mosaic pavement in the ancient city of Yani in central Israel. Israel 365 reports. According to the Israeli Antiquities Authority, the Byzantine-era flooring will eventually be exhibited at the Yani Cultural Center. And in France, family of brutally murdered Jewish woman filing for Islamist killers' extradition to Israel for trial. The family of Sarah Halimi, an Orthodox Jewish woman who was murdered by Islamist cospiratorial in France on April 4, 2017, is to file a legal claim for the killer to be extradited to Israel for trial, the BBC News reported last week. Traore claimed he was in a drug-induced delirium at the time of the brutal slaying, and a French court has found he cannot therefore be held criminally responsible under the country's law. Outrage over the court's decision caused thousands of people to protest in New York, Paris, Rome, and Tel Aviv this weekend. We Defend Life. Montana and Oklahoma governors signed pro-life bills into law. Montana Governor Greg Gianforte signed 3 bills on Monday restricting abortion access in the state, celebrating it as a success for several attempts to pass similar measures in previous years were vetoed by former Democratic governors. An Idaho governor signs fetal heartbeat anti-abortion bill into law. Idaho became the latest state to ban abortions after a fetus heartbeat is detected, after Republican Governor Brad Little signed a bill into law Tuesday that critics say essentially makes the health procedure illegal. An Indiana law, House of Worship, are essential. Indiana's Governor Eric Holcomb, Republican, has signed a new law determining that houses of worship provide essential services and no restrictions may be placed on them during a declared emergency such as the COVID-19 pandemic. And faculty turns against Christian University trustees who abide by biblical standards. Nearly 3/4 of faculty at the historically Christian Seattle Pacific University voted no confidence in the school's board of trustees because the board affirmed the college's expectation that hired faculty will live by biblical standards on sexuality. Christian Headlines reports the faculty vote was triggered after adjunct nursing professor claimed in January that he was denied a full-time teaching position at the school because he is gay. And the European Union condemns the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees passed an unprecedented resolution to condemn them. Alright, let me do this again. The European Union on Wednesday passed an unprecedented resolution to condemn the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees for printing, distributing, and using textbooks inciting and endorsing violence against Israel and the Jewish people in Palestinian Authority schools. And Bennett and Saha meet to talk unity government, as Sheikh said, hoping to thwart efforts. Yemeni Party leader Bennett and New Hope chief Saha held lengthy talks at the Knesset on Wednesday to coordinate demands that the right-wing bloc of a prospective unity government will make in negotiations with Yasser Yair Lapid. And Abbas tells global allies he will postpone Palestinian elections. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has notified the European Union, Jordan, and Egypt of his decision to postpone Palestinian parliamentary elections, originally scheduled for May 22nd, the Lebanese newspaper reported on Tuesday. And Gantz appointed Justice Minister after Netanyahu U-turn. Court cancels the hearing, while insisting that the disputed vote he held in the cabinet on Tuesday to appoint Likud as Justice Minister was a legitimate move. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu backed down Wednesday from his refusal to appoint anyone else to the position, agreeing to make Blue and White's Ben Gantz Justice Minister for the duration of the transitional government. And the Idaho governor signs heartbeat bill with a caveat. Idaho Governor Bill Little signed a bill Tuesday that would ban